cross-ecosystem malware slipped into popular developer registries. Law enforcement seized hundreds of servers tied to Russian operations, and defenders raced to patch old and new bugs, while router botnets and targeted phishing kept pressure high. Here's what you need to know this week, and how to act on it. Welcome to your cybersecurity briefing. Multiple vendors pushed security patches and advisories, and supply chain exposure showed up across several fronts. I'll walk through 3 stories with the operational takeaways you can use right now. First, the TrapDoor supply chain campaign. This is a coordinated cross-ecosystem attack distributing credential-stealing malware through NPM, PyPI, and crates.io. It's the latest escalation in a supply chain problem we've been tracking. The key facts. More than 34 malicious packages were published across over 384 versions, with initial activity recorded on May 22, 2026 at 8:20 p.m. UTC. The uploads came in waves and targeted multiple languages and build environments, aiming to maximize developer exposure. This matters because the attacker's tactic of spreading smaller malicious updates across ecosystems increases the chance of silent adoption through routine dependency updates. It also raises downstream risk for any pipelines or applications that automatically pull the latest versions. For defenders, treat this as an urgent dependency hygiene event. Audit any packages newly added or updated since May 22nd in JavaScript, Python, and Rust projects. Pin known good versions and re-resolve lock files only after verification. Verify maintainers and package provenance before upgrades. And monitor developer endpoints and CI systems for signs of credential harvesting and unusual outbound connections. If you maintain internal mirrors or artifact repositories, quarantine and rescan recent syncs from these registries. Next, the weekly recap. Linux flaws, 0 days in defensive products, router botnets, and more supply chain headaches. The theme is continuity. Less noise, more targeted pressure. Reports flagged a sketchy developer tool that compromised users, long-standing bugs resurfacing, and cases where security tools themselves required urgent protection. Many organizations spent time checking neglected systems and forgotten servers they should have patched already. Phishing crews shifted toward more tailored lures, trading scattershot spam for context-aware messages. The facts here are directional but clear. Defenders face simultaneous patching demands across operating systems and security stacks, renewed exploitation of old issues, and persistent exploitation of unmanaged or end-of-life infrastructure. It matters because this mix drives operational fatigue and creates windows where opportunistic actors win by default. The defender move is to narrow the blast radius and simplify execution. Prioritize vendor advisories from this week and fast-track patches on externally exposed Linux hosts, security appliances, and identity systems. Inventory and remediate internet-facing routers and small office gear, often co-opted into botnets. If hardware is end-of-life, plan replacement rather than defer updates. Lock down management interfaces behind VPN or Zero Trust, not the public internet. For phishing, pair technical controls, strong MFA domain protection, and attachment sandboxing with quick-turn user guidance on current lure themes. And for the supply chain, require review for any new build tools, enforce least privilege on CI/CD credentials, and log an alert on package install events in developer environments. Now, a significant law enforcement action in the Netherlands. Authorities seized approximately 800 servers and arrested 2 co-owners of related hosting companies, accused of operating infrastructure used by Russia to conduct cyber attacks, influence operations, and disinformation inside the European Union. On May 18th, the Dutch Financial Crime Agency arrested a 57-year-old from Amsterdam and a 39-year-old from The Hague, charging them with violating sanctions law by directly or indirectly making economic resources available to EU-sanctioned entities. The investigation centers on Stark Industry Solutions, a provider that appeared shortly before Russia's invasion of Ukraine and was associated with major DDoS activity against European targets, as well as proxy and anonymity services linked to Russia-backed groups. Why it matters. Disrupting this backbone infrastructure can temporarily degrade adversary capability, but it also drives rapid reconstitution as operators pivot to alternate providers and fresh network space. Expect churn in indicators and possible retaliatory nuisance activity. For defenders, refresh network controls immediately. Update threat intelligence feeds and block lists to reflect the takedown. Monitor for traffic shifts to newly stood up autonomous systems and hosting ranges that may become successors. And validate DDoS readiness with upstream providers, including scrubbing capacity and application layer protections. If your allow lists include infrastructure from affected providers, re-verify business need and remove legacy entries to reduce exposure. Stepping back, two cross-cutting trends deserve emphasis. First, patching. Multiple vendors released security fixes and advisories this week, including for components that sit on the perimeter or in the security stack. The time to exploit window is short. Treat exposed services and security appliances as top priority. Second, supply chain and third-party dependencies remain central to attacker strategy. From TrapDoor's multi-ecosystem push to compromised tools highlighted in the recap. Push provenance, signing, and version pinning deeper into your build and deployment processes, and instrument developer workstations as first-class assets. If this briefing helped you prioritize, subscribe and turn on notifications. Share it with your incident response, DevSecOps, and infrastructure teams so they can act on the takeaways. I'll be back with the next operational rundown soon. Stay safe and keep your patch cadence tight.